All right, everyone, you're welcome back again to my YouTube channel. Here we discuss topics of music theory. So basically, we discuss different areas of music theory, ranging from harmony, rhythm, melody, chords, scale, time signature, key signature. So we discuss them here. If you go back into this channel, check my previous videos, you'll see that I have done several videos on these topics. So whether you are a beginner or you are advanced in music study, my videos cater for your needs. So it's good to have you here every Monday to watch my video and to engage my contents. If you are new here, kindly subscribe to my channel, engage it, like, comment. If you have any topics you want us to treat, you can share them with me and I will pick it up from there. Right? Having said that, let's dive right into it. Okay, in our previous video, we talk about chords, especially the inversion of the simple chords and the extended chords. We talk about how to use figure base, how to use the Roman numeral to represent all these chords. Okay, so today we want to talk about another important aspect of harmony, and this important topic is called cadence. What is cadence? How is cadence being used? What is the concept behind cadence in music? So we're going to answer all these questions and many more in this video. Now let's continue. So in this video, we'll be learning to explain what cadence is. We are going to describe the different kinds of cadence, right? And of course, we're going to learn to identify the common kinds of cadence in a piece of music and where you can find them, right? And we're going to also list some other less commonly used cadence, right? The question is, how will you describe a cadence? You see, just like in making a simple sentence, there are at least two phrases that come up to make a sentence, right? So the same way in piece of music, to make a musical statement, you have your melody or you have the musical progression in a certain way that it contains several parts called phrases, two or more parts coming together to form this piece of music. So a cadence actually helps to denote the end of each phrase or each fragment of a melodic idea in a piece of music. And in harmony, this is usually denoted with chords. So two chords are usually used to represent this. The question is, what is a cadence? You see, just like making a sentence while speaking, also in a piece of music, we combine melodic fragments or melodic ideas to form a piece of music, right? So this is where cadence comes in. It helps to punctuate, to mark each melodic idea or each phrase in a piece of music. So that's what a cadence does. It gives a sense of partial closure or a complete closure to a piece of music. So it's as if you are traveling, right? You woke up in the morning from your house, you move straight to the bus stop, and from the bus stop to the school, and from the school you went to the gym, and from the gym you went for rehearsals, and from the rehearsal then you head back home, right? So this represents a series of what you do in a day, right? So the same way in a piece of music, there's progression of notes. Usually you go from home, which is the tonic of a piece of music, right? You go from the home and you move, 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 and come back home again to give a final closure. So a cadence actually helps to amplify this closure, whether a partial closure or a complete closure. So that's what a cadence does. So the question is, what is a cadence? So simply, a cadence is a series of notes or chords that ends a melody, giving the listener a sense of partial or complete closure. There are so many kinds of cadence, but before that, let's try to identify the cadence in this piece of music. Okay, so we're going to summarize this topic using these two popular music, right? So here we have Ode to Joy and Green Sleeves. All right, the first one. As the notes of the music move, there are points in the music where we have a sense of brief pause or a sense of partial close to the music. So this is the point where we have cadence in the piece of music, right? Basically, in a piece of music, you can have two or more points in the music where you have cadence. For instance, when you have a piece of music with two phrases, the first phrase will be like an incomplete phrase or an incomplete statement, right? So the end is usually with a cadence, right? That is a partial cadence now. And the end also have the complete cadence, the final cadence. So we're going to talk about these kinds of cadence as we go on. But let's talk about the points where we have cadence in this piece of music. So we have cadence at this point in the music, right? So let's listen to it again. All right. So those are the points where you can have cadence in that piece of music, right? Let's go to the second one. Okay, we have the second one here, Green Sleeve, as arranged by my humble self. All right. So we have cadence at those points in the music, right? You see, at that point in time, you see a sense of partial closure or complete closure, as the case may be. So let's listen to the music one more time and you see what I'm talking about. All right. So actually, cadence also helps to denote the end of every section of a musical form, right? It helps to denote the end of every section of a musical form. If you go back to the different kinds of musical form, the binary, the ternary, be it the rondo, so you see cadence appearing at the end of each section in all these musical forms. So we have this as a sense of completeness, right? And when you hear this part, it doesn't really sound complete, right? It sounds incomplete. And here it gives a feel of total finality to the music. So you have the final cadence or the complete cadence that shows the end of the music here. Just like in the previous one, here, this gives a sense of partial closure. It gives us a feel of something is coming, or we are still expecting something more. So that's what this cadence does. That's what this kind of cadence does to the arrangement of the music. So it gives us a feeling that that's not the end of the music. Just like when you are making a sentence and the sentence contains two or more phrases. So you see that the first one, the first phrase could be incomplete. When you say, I'm going to where? Well, I'm going to the market. When you say, I'm leaving for where? You say that I'm leaving rather sounds incomplete in a sentence. But when you say I'm leaving for work, then you have a full statement, a statement that makes more sense. So the same thing here. When you play the music to this point, it doesn't really give a feeling of completion of the music. It gives a feeling of partial completion. And that's what the cadence does, right? This kind of cadence here shows an incomplete cadence, right? But what we have here actually gives a sense of complete finality, right? But that's not the end of the music, right? We'll still have more. So the final cadence actually gives the feel of the end of the music itself. So that's what the cadence does here in this piece of music. All right, let's talk about the different kind of cadence. So basically, we have the authentic cadence, the half cadence, plagal cadence, and deceptive cadence, right? So authentic cadence could be perfect authentic cadence, could be imperfect authentic cadence, as the case may be. And it actually gives the feel of the end of the music, right? And half cadence gives a sense of partial closure to the music. And plagal cadence is just like the authentic cadence. It gives a sense of finality to the music. In church music, it's also called the amen cadence, right? For me, amen, right? So it gives the sense of complete closure to the piece of music. And deceptive cadence, just like the name implies, it's also called the interrupted cadence. It tends to give us a feel of complete closure to the music, but rather than giving us a sense of complete closure by going to the home or by landing on the home chord or the home notes of the piece of music, it rather goes to another note or another chord. So we're going to talk about this deeply, extensively as we progress. Now follow me and let's go.